Okay, this service is going to be very much unlike anything you've experienced here in the fellowship in the past if you've been here. And if you are coming for the first time today, do not judge a regular service on this one. Okay, so we're going to start today with our wisdom story, which is in the form of a puppet show. The reason for this is that this is the way this story has been traditionally told for hundreds of years. This story goes back a very, very long way. We know this story very well, but it's a story that has been around, that originated in Europe almost 600 years ago. And it was a story that was used to tell people how to think about good and evil. And that's This is the story of a man who wanted everything. I mean, literally everything. Dr. Faustus has spent years studying the mysteries of the universe. He has reached the limits of human knowledge. He's smarter than everybody. But he's getting old, and there are some things he still can't do. Our play opens with Dr. Faust in his study, lonely, bored, and sad.
Gosh, I'm lonely and bored. Kind of sad, too.
See what I mean?
Who's that talking?
I'm the narrator.
What the heck do we need you for?
I'm just providing the background so the kids understand the story.
Maybe you'll understand it better if you let us get on with it.
Okay, jeez.
Okay, kids. So here's the story so far. I've been in school so long I know everything. I'm old, and I've never had a girlfriend. I've never traveled or had adventures, and never run anything bigger than a classroom full of bored students. I'm ugly, and I have poor grooming habits. I've been experimenting at making golden lead for 20 years, and guess how much I've made? Go ahead, guess. That's right, none. So I'm going to try something I've never tried before. I'm going to make a deal with the devil so that I can have whatever I want. I have to call him by its name. Yo, Mephistopheles, get up here.
No, thank you very much. Thank you. So, Bubba, what do you want?
Dude, I want it all. Wealth, power, fame, girls, the secrets of the universe. Can you deliver that?
Yeah. I can do that. Sure, no problem. You bet. Right away. Let's see. I can give you 24 years for the measly price of your soul.
Maybe you can help me understand that concept. What is a soul anyway? I mean, I've read a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of different opinions about it. What do you think it is?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think a soul is? Does anybody have any ideas about what's a soul? Curry? That's good. It's your way of being different from other people. Anybody want to add to that? Anybody ever hear about a soul or think about a soul before? Yeah? Okay. I don't know. Hope that helps, Faust. All right. So, okay.
That guy again.
Sorry.
It's nothing, really. You can't feel it. You can't smell it. eat it, or touch it. You can't count it. It doesn't earn interest in the bank. So what good is it?
Ooh, okay. Where do I sign?
No! Faust! You can't do it! Your soul is your immortal part! It lives forever! Your soul will spend eternity in hell, suffering forever! Do you really want that?
This life ain't no picnic, Toots. Have you been listening? I've got halitosis.
Oh, buzz off, Tinkerbell. Faust is a man who knows what he wants.
Yeah, I know what I want.
He can think for himself.
Yeah, I can think for myself.
And he doesn't need you.
And I don't need you.
And he's a big poopy head.
And I'm a big... Hey, wait a minute.
Sorry, Faust, I just couldn't help myself. Poopy head.
I'm warning you, Faust. You'll regret this forever. Literally.
I hate it when people use the word literally when they actually mean figuratively.
I meant literally. Literally. Faust, your soul is your good part. The thing that makes you unique. Why do you think he wants it?
Okay, Faust, baby, here's the deal. 24 years of youth, wealth, power, knowledge, adventure, gourmet meals, girlfriends, boyfriends, whatever the heck you like. For 24 years, I'm your personal servant, your guide, your bodyguard. Then you die, and I get your soul. By that time you give it to me, it will be old, used up, and worthless anyway. You won't even miss it. Just sign on the dotted line. Oh yeah, you gotta do it in blood. So what do you say? Act now, this offer won't last long. Don't pay attention to Jiminy Cricket over there.
My name's not Jiminy, and I'm not a cricket. I'm an angel. See the wings and the halo? I'm a good guy. He's a bad guy. Horns, get it? Go away. Boo!
Boo? That's all you got? Boo?
I'm kind of a junior angel. Besides, only Faust can really make you go away.
That's right. And Fausty boy here is my new BFF.
You got it, Mephistopheles, old buddy, old pal. Where do I sign?
Okay, Fausty, now we gotta start working on your personal hygiene. Have you ever heard of Axe body spray?
So that's the story of Faust. In the end, he sells his soul to the devil, and in exchange, he gets 24 years of illusions. He does a lot of bad things, then feels bad, and tries to do some good things, but they turn out bad too. Here are some things to think about. What the heck is a soul anyway? Do you think such a thing could ever really happen? Or is this supposed to mean something different? Why would someone tell us this story? And what could we learn from it? I'd like to bring out our puppeteers, and I'd like you to give them a rousing round of applause for doing this.
See if you can guess who wrote this. I often feel as if I'd gladly sell my soul to Satan for a year of freedom. Well, I won't keep you in suspense. Louisa May Alcott, the author of the beloved children's classic, Little Women, and its numerous wholesome sequels. Surprisingly to some, Louisa had a dark side, a side that she was able to express only through her sensationalist stories, which she was often able to publish anonymously or under a pseudonym. Later in her career, Louisa, a woman of great learning, talent, skill, and ambition, taught herself to write with her left hand as well as her right, so that she could write twice as long. Elaine Showalter, the editor of the book Alternative Alcott, called Louisa's sensational writing her left-hand writing. In 19th century America, it would have been unseemly for a woman to express such negative feelings. So when her sensationalist stories were published, they were published under the rather ambiguous pseudonym of A.M. Barnard, or they were published anonymously. And those are the writings that I found very interesting. One of the reasons that this is an unusual service is that it's kind of based around my doctoral dissertation, which I just finished, and I graduated in May after 12 long years and managing to keep the same spouse the whole time, which was quite an accomplishment, I tell you. 2 weeks ago today, a worship service was interrupted in First Unitarian Universalist Church in New Orleans by an anti-abortion group who claimed that they were there to present the truth of the gospel. It just so happens that the minister of this church, the Reverend Paul Beadle, is a former member here, a past president of the Board of Trustees, vice president when I was president of the board. He was ordained in 1999 in this very room, and I was there. Paul's a good friend of mine, and according to this group of violent protesters, his congregation is a synagogue of Satan. Nice anti-Semitic alliteration, by the way. Paul was not in the pulpit that day, but the community minister who was, the Reverend Deanna Vandiver, described it as being terrorized. A letter was written by a group of ministers and published in the New Orleans Advocate, and this is what they had to say. On Sunday morning, July 20th, the sacred time and space of a historic New Orleans congregation was violated. As congregants of First Unitarian Universalist Church, founded in 1833, held a moment of silent prayer to grieve a young woman of the church who had died the previous week, protesters from Operation Save America began to harangue the minister and spew words of hate at the congregation. In shock, but with increasing pain, as these diatribes continued, the congregation listened quietly as protesters vilified and insulted them. Soon, though, the protesters were ushered out of the church. As this was happening in the sanctuary, other protesters, holding grotesque images, massed around the windows of the church nursery, screaming at the babies and toddlers. Youth were told they were going to hell, and that their family members were suffering from illness due to their sins. The church members responded by singing words of love, justice, and freedom to counteract this hateful rhetoric. For religious communities in the United States, the freedom to worship is a deeply cherished right. Whatever our faith, whenever we worship, the right to worship as we choose was fought for by our ancestors and is vital to all today. Along with this freedom comes the right to disagree, which is one part of the pluralism created by our religious freedom. But all of us agree that no one has the right to desecrate the sacred worship time and space in order to express their disagreement. The undersigned people of faith do not agree on everything. In fact, some of us only agree that we have the right to disagree, but that is enough. No congregation, whatever their views may be, should have their sacred worship time and space violated. Not ever, not by anybody. I and 39 other local religious leaders by this letter call on the larger community to stand with us with hearts joined on the side of love and in opposition to religious terrorism. I find it eerily appropriate that I should have to bring this incident into our discussion of good and evil, because some people who think they are good consider us to be evil. Some of us, sometimes myself included, may see them as evil. What I'd like to accomplish today is to take a look at our ideas of good and evil and to think about what it might mean to actually be evil in someone else's eyes. In order to do this, we need to ask ourselves why we think one thing is good and another evil. Why do we often fail to agree about those two things? Okay, now just a note about the music for today. I selected the music today from the Grateful Dead, firstly because it takes a look at the Grateful Dead actually is a group that brings a lot of spirituality and soul actually into their music. And it invites us to look at the concepts of good and evil in a completely different way than most of us have been brought up to believe. And with that, I'd like to introduce my friend Carmine Eredita, who's going to help me perform the first number, Ripple.
If my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp unstrung, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as it were your own? It's a hand-me-down. The thoughts are broken. Perhaps they're better left unsung, but I don't know. Don't really